Hello everybody, thank you for joining me. Today is the anniversary of the birth in 1598 of Gian Lorenzo Bernini, the great Baroque sculptor. He's credited with having started the Baroque movement in the arts. He grew up in the shadow of Michelangelo, whose type of sculpture was rather different. But it was prophesied as a young man that he would be the next Michelangelo. And someone has said that actually that's what happened, because if what Shakespeare is to English literature, Bernini is to Italian and Baroque sculpture. He's responsible for the design and all the sculptures, or most of the sculptures in St. Peter's Square in Rome. And he went to Rome as quite a young man. His father was a sculptor, and got a commission to do some work in Rome, took the whole family there, and the young Bernini caught the eye of Pope Pius V, who decided that he had enormous talent, and at a very young age he started being groomed to be the next Michelangelo. Expectations were really very high. He was given very early, really quite precocious way, things to do, tasks to fulfill, sculptures to make, that were actually way beyond what normally people of his age would have been invited to do. And he did it, and he fulfilled the expectations, not only of that pope, but of the subsequent pope, and indeed eventually became head and shoulders more influential than all the other sculptors and architects and designers of his era. It led me to think a little bit about expectation, because this young man had enormous expectations piled on him by his father, who pushed hard for him to be accepted at the papal court, by the popes and various others who saw his talent, and they expected him to fulfill his talent. And he hardly left Rome at all. He was very much under the tutelage of the papacy, encouraged all the time to do more and more work for them. The way we pile expectations on others can sometimes be harmful to them, can't it? We expect people around us to, maybe if they're growing up, to achieve things that maybe they don't want to achieve or are beyond them, or just in general, people that we know, that we're acquainted with, that we're friends with, we expect more of them perhaps than is realistic sometimes, and we need to balance our expectations with some realism sometimes. On the other hand, sometimes too, we fail to have sufficient expectation of people. And when you don't expect things of people, somehow they don't perform. And so it is very much a question of getting the right balance. But what I was reminded of today particularly was the need to have sensible expectations of ourselves. Sometimes we expect far too much from ourselves. We put pressure on ourselves to do things, to achieve things that actually are not realistic. They may not be beyond us, but it may not be the right time for them, or they may be beyond us. There may be all sorts of reasons why they're unrealistic expectations, but it doesn't do us any good to feel pushed by some inner urge to achieve things which is not right at that particular time in our lives for us to be trying to achieve. So I think today a little bit slightly more relaxed attitude to myself won't go amiss, not expecting too much, but on the other hand, not relaxing into expecting nothing, but trying to get the balance right, in the way I treat myself and in the way I treat other people.